Actually, you know what? I can't do it. Could you put up the link for the stream?
I will.
Stream health is starting. It's healthy.
We're probably streaming right now.
We're streaming right now.
It still says stream is offline. It's starting. Is what's happening. It's receiving your content. Your audience will see it in a moment. Get ready. Okay, you are live. Internet
Okay.
can slowly see you. To stop, use your encoder. Okay, we're live.
Okay, right on.
It's gonna refresh to make sure that like actual stuff is being recorded here and it's not like deceiving me.
Do you interrupt everybody like this?
Yeah, he does. That's Arun.
Let's go.
All right.
Okay.
So, I guess we're live.
Yeah, we are.
All right. So, welcome everybody. This is our preseason edition, episode 7 of the rOilers podcast. So today we're going to be concentrating basically on things that have happened in the preseason, cuts that we've made, cuts that we haven't made, and just sort of a general feeling as to how the team's shaping up as we move forward into the regular season here. So I'm James. We have Arun with us as well. Arun take 5. Then we have Adam, Schweet, 4722.
No,
I think I got the
44722.
44722. Okay, I'll get it right one of these days.
Eventually.
So let's just jump into it here, guys.
Actually,
so
real quick,
go
is
ahead.
Arun's still a cheating bastard, but I did keep my end of the bargain.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay, for James who wasn't here last week, we made a bet on how much average was
Clefbaum's contract.
Clefbaum's contract for contract. The bet was like if Adam got it right, then I would have to grow out my mustache for November, and if I got it right, then Adam had to keep his hair and couldn't cut his hair. And by the time we bet on it, like I already found out what the money was, so I was cheating.
He cheated.
Technically, I wasn't cheating though, because like I said 4.1, and then I found out it was actually 4.
Yeah, but Professor Scribbles posted in the comments. How am I supposed to know if I can't see it? You cheated. All right.
It was funny. Hey,
Hockey topics.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, let's just jump into it. Who have you guys been impressed with? Who's been really disappointing for you so far? So let's just start off with Adam.
All right. So impressive. Slabishev is a big one for me. He's been absolutely phenomenal so far. I think he produced a point in just about every game he's played. I think for the Oilers thus far. He's played well on multiple lines. He's not just being stuck out with the good guys and producing. Like he was producing with Yakupov and Lander for a little bit, and then he played with McDavid and Hall yesterday, and he did really well in that game as well. I don't know if you guys watched that, but he was originally Draisaitl started on that line, and they swapped it out a little bit, and it worked out really well for them. From then on, I'd have to say Nielsen was the other one that really impressed me. He's been good. And the other, for those who don't know, Nielsen does not have to clear waivers. We found that out a couple days ago. He does not have to clear waivers, which means that he will more than likely be sent down. Scrivens will start as the backup, and they might either deal Scrivens or Nielsen will be the call-up if need be. But that's good news for the Oilers, in my opinion. So last point would be, I'm thinking of Schultz. Of all people. I did not think I'd be saying that, but Schultz has been pretty solid so far. He's made the right plays, hasn't been jumping up too much, hasn't been caught. Seems a bit more physical. Actually got into a scrum, which I didn't see happening. That was new. But those are the big 3 for me. Arun?
Do I have to name 3? Oh, okay.
Well, just whoever.
Oh, okay. Schultz. Though admittedly he was more impressive in one game compared to the other ones, he is still like really was fairly good. I was pretty happy actually with McDavid. Although he hasn't scored yet, he's been doing the key thing that's really stood out for me was the fact that so far he's been in the right places defensively, and that was one of my concerns that I had with McDavid, and he has that, and I'm happy with that. And then the last one that impressed me was I didn't actually get the chance to see much of Schlepper. How do you pronounce it?
Slepyshev.
Slepyshev. Sleppy's play. However, I was still like based upon what people are saying, like it was fairly good. And generally speaking, when you're producing points, that's what matters. In terms of unimpressed, I'm sort of iffy on Talbot. But that being said, I wouldn't necessarily say Nielsen has been playing better than Talbot, just because Talbot played against a significantly better offense, where
Yeah, but Talbot hasn't given up a goal in.
where he had weaker defense in front of him in the sense of defensive partners, um, specifically Nikitin and
Oh
Ferris.
God.
Whereas, was it Nielsen was playing against who again? The
Nielsen
Jets
played against the Jets,
B team.
Coyotes.
No, he didn't play against the
He did.
Coyotes.
He played
Scrivens
half the
did.
game against Coyotes the other
Oh,
day,
half the game. Oh, I thought
and
Scrivens was supposed to like originally, based upon what uh, Todd Mac, T Mac said was that he wanted a game for each player where they were starting the full game. So that seems a little weird for me. I'm guessing that they've sort of thrown out Scrivens altogether. I could see him just being like sent to the minors. That might be
no.
something that they're
Well,
considering.
well, that's why I'm thinking with Nielsen is that it makes more sense for them to sound Nielsen. He doesn't have to clear waivers. Scrivens has to clear waivers.
I mean, why wouldn't
But you
like?
want to dress the best players, right? I mean,
Yeah, you want the best players. Yeah.
Scrivens hasn't
roll
been
with the
terrible though.
best
That's the
players.
thing.
Scrivens hasn't been terrible, granted, but I mean,
He played what?
his cap hit is
He
more than
played
twice of
against. Sorry, I'm
Nielsen.
interrupting you. He played against Phoenix, and he played against was it the Jets B team, and then he played against freaking Minnesota Wild's B team. I mean, that's not a gauge of like
Yeah,
whether or
but
not
no.
he's
That,
improved
well,
or not.
then don't you go with the established starter at that point? Like, or the no, sorry, established backup. Like Scrivens is a good backup. He's not a great starter. He's a good backup. Doesn't it make more sense to go with the established backup than the
James.
rookie? And if the rookie doesn't have to clear waivers and he can go challenge
Yes and
Brossoit for a
no. I
challenge.
mean, Nielsen is not some rookie that like he is a he's a rookie I guess with the Oilers, but he's not like some 20-year-old kid that's coming out of nowhere.
No, but he's
Like
also
he
not
did
proven in the
well.
NHL as a backup.
Neither is
As a
Scrivens, neither
backup,
is
he is though.
Talbot. I
Scrivens is proven as a
mean,
backup.
is he even though? Like
Yes, he was very, very good with Toronto and LA. Very good as a backup. That's why
I'm
we
not.
acquired
I'm
him.
gonna. I'm always gonna keep the LA stats with a grain of salt. Like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna ever take those
Okay, what about
real
what
face
Toronto then? They had a shit defense.
small sample size. I
It's
don't know.
no, it's a little bit of small sample size and a
Yeah.
little bit of like the way Randy Carlisle just sets up his goaltenders. I don't know what he does. He like gives them like special magic juice that makes all of his goaltenders absolutely amazing. And then the moment he leaves or the goaltenders go somewhere else, they just become normal average goaltenders again.
Reimer's been
I
pretty
don't know, man.
average.
Reimer's pretty average. Reimer's a
Now,
pretty average.
when like he was forced to play, he was pretty good. When they made the playoffs, he was also pretty good.
Okay. Well, to answer my own question here,
Yeah.
who I've been most impressed with, to build upon what Adam said, surprisingly Schultz. He hasn't been amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but I haven't face palmed consistently at him,
Mhm.
so that's a big step up from last year. McDavid obviously like he's looked great. Slepyshev has been a great surprise. Who else? I'm trying to think of like bottom six. Yak has had a few good games. He was good
Yeah.
last night, I thought, against Vancouver, even though they got wrecked as a team. But I thought Yak was good last night. So those are
Nuge
guys that have stood out in a positive way. As for maybe disappointing a little bit, jeez.
Greiba is actually
I
more disappointing than I thought he would be.
Yeah,
Greiba,
I
God,
thought Nick Keaton might show some kind of
yeah.
improvement. He's gotten worse.
God, they were so
When I
bad. Yes,
when
I
I'm
was just
trying to
I couldn't watch it when they were on the ice.
They were bad, yeah. When I'm trying to think of players that have not performed up to expectations, I'm thinking, okay, Ference, Nikitin, like those are the easy answers. Think of something else. Be creative, but
But there's no other answers.
Yak?
yeah.
Yak?
Oh,
Could
God.
Yakupov be
No, I disagree.
Yes.
he was trying like
He's had some
no
bad.
tomorrow, and he
He
seemed to step behind.
he has more shots in the
He's had
preseason than Hall, and Nugent Eberle, or
But
Hall
he
and
doesn't
Nuge. Sorry.
have as many points or goals, does he?
No, but the point is, like, eventually you're gonna start scoring. Yesterday he had a goal. He's been playing much better with Lander lately too.
Yeah, he's developing good chemistry with Lander. I'm happy with his chemistry. I think he's slowly developing pretty good chemistry with Draisaitl too. So
Yeah,
like,
they're looking a lot
I'm
Draisaitl's
better.
pretty
on
happy
their
with that
line.
right now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Draisaitl's.
Draisaitl, yes, he's impressed me.
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, he's gonna make the team. So.
You know when we acquired Greba and it was like, okay, I've seen him on Ottawa. I know he's slow, but he can, he knows how to play positionally and he's big, so that might be something. No, he looked slow with him and
He's just
Reinhardt
really
yesterday.
bad.
Reinhardt's like he looks composed, but Reinhardt's also not the fastest skater on the planet. And like it was
Yeah,
scary
for
watching
sure.
that lineup yesterday. And Sakara had a terrible game too. He had a
Yeah,
perfect tape to tape pass to fucking who was it, Horvat in the slot.
yeah.
It was perfect. It was
Yeah,
great. He just spun around, just tape to tape. But I
it
mean,
was an unassisted power play goal. That's really hard to do.
I missed it, and
So
I was wondering how it happened. I came back and
He
saw the little
schultzed it.
replay, and I was like, okay, that makes sense.
he did. Uh,
He schultzed it.
while Eberle was here, I thought he was good.
Yeah.
But he's not here now. So him being out 4 to 6 weeks with the shoulder injury, how big of a blow is that? Where does that leave our team? Where does that leave Arun? Where does that leave our team? Where do we go from here?
Fortunate in past seasons, I would say, oh dang, we're screwed. Sort of like when Gagne went out, right? With that, was it eye injury or jaw injury? Now it's just sort of like, okay, we can deal with this. And I think it also do like a key fact with the fact with the how essentially we have a fairly solid top nine that's coming into the season. And beyond the fact that there's a lot of lack of experience with the bottom part of that top nine, um, I feel as though like it's not that we're gonna be completely like okay without Eberle. We're gonna miss that offense, but at the same time, we're not gonna be disastrously low in offense. We're gonna
Yeah.
be fine. We're gonna at the very least cycle the puck and shoot. The only question is like Eberle had finish, and I don't know whether or not the Slapashav or Draisaitl or even Yakupov
Or
is gonna
Purcell.
have that level of finish that we really need.
Mm-hmm.
I think we know what we have in Purcell.
That's
I skipped over him. Like Purcell will go on an empty net breakaway and miss the net. That's the kind of person he is.
I want to ask a question about that after, but I know for me, the concerning thing with Eberle is I don't know. Have you guys looked at our schedule to start the month of October?
It's hard,
It's
isn't it?
deadly. I don't know what the hell the schedules decided to do, but we got screwed. Like
Hey,
we
they're upping their ante, okay? The Oilers got prepared this time, so they're upping their ante, so the Oilers are out by October. Yet again.
apparently they're just like, okay, well, you guys got McDavid, so you guys are screwed. No hockey for you past October now. It's just so my concern is that if we're playing the best teams in the league and you don't get off to a good start and you're in November already and then you're 10 points out of the playoffs, it's like same
So,
crap as before.
what? Okay, I'm just gonna look up the schedule, so I have a good idea.
Well, I've got it
James,
here.
you want to talk about it? Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we open up Blues, Predators, Stars, Blues, Flames, Canucks, Red Wings, Capitals, Kings, Wild, Canadians, Flames. That's our October. So, lots of big rivalry games there.
How many of those teams
Red
run?
Wings.
Did-
The Red Wings are not quite the powerhouse that they used to be, but you always got to get up for a game against Detroit.
How many of those teams were in the
Capitals,
playoffs last year?
Yeah, like
Was
those are all good teams.
was every team on that list in the playoffs last year?
Yes,
God
except
damn it.
for like the Kings.
Yeah, and the Kings are
Oh,
still.
yay.
Yay.
And the Kings just missed. So
The Kings is arguably the second best team to ever like miss the playoffs,
yeah, I don't looking
next
back
to like the
man,
Bruins.
that was brutal.
Yeah. Well, that's what
but yeah,
happens
it's a
when
tough
two
schedule
teams
to start
tank.
off, so Eberle being gone for 4 to 6 weeks is probably going to hurt quite a bit because we still don't know what we have with Slepyshev. Really,
No.
this is our right wing, like absolutely gutted with one right winger gone, which is kind of scary to think about. But Slepyshev hopefully will be able to step in. Purcell, you can't really depend on him for much.
Yak's
And
a
then
right wing, right?
Yakupov is a right wing, but you don't know what you're going to get with him either. So.
Yeah, like my key concern with Yakupov is sure like he's only played with Nuge for like 60 minutes, but that wasn't a very successful 60 minutes. I don't know how well he's gonna gel with.
That was under Eakins for 60 though.
Mm.
True, but it was still like
The
it wasn't
concerning
successful.
What's worrying for me now is if you look back with the last year and a half, 2 years, people have been saying trade Eberle for a defenseman, trade Eberle for a defenseman, and then he gets injured and we're all like, oh God, we're screwed. It's
Yeah.
just it's just like,
uh,
oh no, you don't realize how
Not necessarily. Yeah.
well
I know what you mean.
big red
But
panic
It's
button kind of
okay.
thing.
Okay, Adam. Speaking in defense of that sentiment, it has more to do with the fact that amongst all the players that we have, Epperly is the one that can fetch most likely fetch a good defender.
Yeah. Well,
That's the reason why his name is put out.
the
Without the unless we trade Hall.
yeah. Well, the other side of it is like you never get fair value for a star player.
never.
And Eberle is a star, but
Toronto.
he'd still fetch a fair price. Like he's at that level where he's elite. He's very, 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 very good, but you can still kind of put a price point on it. For someone like Hall or McDavid, it's just you can't. Not how it works.
I agree. Yeah. 4 quarters do not equal a loony. That's what I always say when it
Oh,
comes to
boy.
hockey trades.
I just checked our next month. That's not pretty either.
What do we
You check
have?
November?
Yeah, the November. Yeah, it's Philly, Pittsburgh, Chicago, Ducks, Phoenix, Kings, Chicago, Devils, Capitals, Hurricanes, which we don't have any success with. I don't know why.
We beat the
Red
Kings
Wings.
once last year.
Pardon?
We beat the Kings once last year. We 1-1 against them.
No. I was talking about the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Red Wings. What's their name? Pittsburgh Penguins and Maple Leafs.
Maple Leafs should be an easy game, man. That roster is
Never
Leafs.
say that word. Like we're in the NHL level. That's
Yeah,
how
that's true.
we embarrass teams as a basement dwelling team.
guess.
Leafs, Canes, and probably the Devils and the Coyotes should be winnable games this year. Like there's
Canes won't be a winnable one. Canes is the way they play is high possession face offense, and like to the point where they'll just constantly get shots on net. And so far, like based upon what we've seen in preseason, but I've seen in preseason, like we're not having too much success with that. Against that.
are you Illuminati or what are you doing there?
No, nothing. I'm gonna change gears real quick.
All right.
When we were talking about Yakupov a couple of minutes ago, I thought we were about to touch on something worthwhile talking about. Yakupov still healthy, still playing on the third line after Eberle's out. So Slepyshev and Purcell are in the number 1 and 2 right wing right now. Yakupov still playing on the third line. Is this a sign? Like, what's gonna happen with this guy for this season? Do you think he's on his way out? What do you guys think?
I just think I'm happy with what T-Mac is doing. It's just basically he's recognizing that Yakupov is developing a kind of chemistry, a fairly good one with Draisaitl and Lander, and I just see that like he's seeing like how much he can like really pull that to its limit in the preseason, and the key way that I'm seeing it isn't that it's we have a first line, a second line, and a third line. I see it as like we have 3 fairly good lines. I can go out there, cycle the puck, and score. And that's what Todd McCullough wants.
And
In fact, like that's the reason why we got rid of Gordon and picked up Letestu, because Letestu has more offensive ability than Gordon does, right? It's that like the key principle behind it is that more offense means that you have to spend less time in your own zone, and that leads to less goals and more goals for you.
the way I see it, Yakupov's tied him with Purcell. If Purcell performs to his contract and above his contract, then Yakupov's not going to get playing time in the top 2 lines. It's going to be Eberle, Purcell, and then whoever, third line. But if Purcell doesn't succeed, which I don't know how much he's going to be able to do, like Nugent and Pouliot are going to have to carry him, basically, is my opinion on that one. But so I could see Draisaitl or Slepyshev being put up there, and then that gives Yakupov a chance to move up in the lineup potentially. The other side of it is if he's playing with Lander, he's going to get the lower matchups, and if you have Lander, who's a puck retriever and plays
And
2
can still
ways,
score.
and who can score obviously with the hat trick the other day. I mean, it's preseason, but it's hat trick, and Draisaitl's ridiculous passing abilities. Yakupov's just gonna be able to shoot pretty much whenever he wants, which is great.
You know who else got a hat trick in the preseason once?
We're not bringing that up.
Yeah, it's in talking points.
Well, MPS.
MPS.
MPS had a lot of issues that I think can be brought up, like the fact that he had flash in the pan moments and was essentially a third defenseman on the ice because he played so far deep, and he didn't use his physicality, so I don't think it's comparable.
Okay, well, since you brought up MPS, he was recently put on waivers.
Went through.
Obviously, we didn't. He cleared, but
Yeah.
what were your thoughts? Like, would you, if you were GM, would you have picked him up?
Dear God, no. No,
No,
we have.
I'm not in the camp of like, oh no, like stay away from it with your like a long stickers, whatnot, or whatever you want to call it.
10-foot pole.
It's that basically, like, even if we do pick him up, like, where does he fit on a team?
Well, that's the point.
Yeah, well,
that's
that's exactly.
that's why I'm
Yeah,
saying.
because like I do think like he still has the ability to like fit onto an NHL level team as a third line player, with a little bit of a scoring touch,
Not ours.
be it in flashes and flashes in the pan kind of thing, like sort of like what we're gonna see with Laurie Korpakowski. Because yeah, extending that, Laurie Korpakowski, the key way that his offense will be absolutely frustrating. Because at the end of the year, like he might come out with 20 goals, but like 10 of those goals will come over a 15 game span, and another 10 will come over another like 20 game span. And for the rest of the games, he won't score a goal or even get a point.
He's not supposed to be scoring
That's the
goals.
kind of
Like he's not
player
that.
that he is, and that like he's found success in the NHL. Like all that I'm seeing that's MPS is really missing is that it's one of the
Consistency.
key reasons that you rarely ever see a star player become a good coach. And that's because that vision that's necessary to be successful in the NHL, a guy like MPS doesn't have it naturally. They're taught it, or he has to learn it forcibly himself.
The,
And the point about coaches I was making is that those coaches basically got to the point where they had to learn it themselves or be taught it, so they know how to teach it to the players as well.
okay, let me put it this way: the big way to be successful in the NHL is consistency. If you're consistently putting up a point a
That's a
game, or if you're
Korpakowski.
consistently putting up defensive ability, then you're fine. Korpakowski is a reliable player that way. MPS, he doesn't hit consistently. He doesn't play the puck consistently. He doesn't
His
score
possession
consistently.
numbers are fairly good. Let's be honest here.
No, well, yeah, he's positional play, but if you don't use your body positionally, you're gonna end up jolting all over the ice. As a defensive forward who doesn't produce a lot of points, you need to be able to play defensive competently, which means you have to be able to hit people. MPS is like what 6'3", like he doesn't use his
6'3". He plays like he's 5'8".
doesn't use his goddamn size. Everly throws more hits.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
God, no. It's not. I don't hate him. Like, this makes me sound like I hate him. I don't mind MPS, but he doesn't fit in our lineup. He doesn't. He not only that, but we have players. We had to sent down Tyler Pitlick. We sent down Andrew Miller. We sent down Ryan Hamilton. We have Yakimov who can play wing too. We have Kyra. We have a ton of players, and Braden Christopher showed up really well too. We have a ton of players. Wingquist. A ton of players in the AHL that can play, that have more potential and can play better than MPS can at the moment. To me,
Okay, like just to play devil's advocate though, if we didn't have that issue and like I was someone like the New Jersey Devils or the Maple Leafs, I would have taken a run.
yeah, no, that's the thing is that if you're, for me, even like the Coyotes, if you have that open spot, he's on a $700K contract. He's on a 1-year deal. He's no risk and could potentially be solid for you.
Yeah, and if he doesn't succeed with your like lower like quality roster team, you can just send him to like through waivers.
Yep.
And there's no way he doesn't clear waivers.
Yeah. So that makes sense.
Point.
For us, it doesn't make sense. For another team, it could make sense.
Yeah, for the Oilers, yeah, absolutely, I agree. There's nowhere for him to fit, but I think that when we saw that he was on waivers, every Oilers fan looked off over the horizon into the distance.
Yeah, you always think the green is the pastures are greener around the edge.
Of course, yeah, no, it's natural.
Now, what about Curtis Glencross? Glencross, because he was a former Oiler killer, and he was on. I didn't understand why he was on. Like didn't have a
got
contract.
released from his PTO, man. I don't get it.
He was apparently look the only way that Glenn Cross plays well if he's playing in Alberta, because like before he joined Edmonton, he was a fourth liner. When he joined Edmonton, like suddenly this fourth liner could score 20 goals a season. And then we were trying to negotiate a contract with him in order to keep playing the fourth line while he was asking for like 3 million or 2 million plus. And then, like, what did he do? Like, because we took too long, he went to Calgary. And then at Calgary, he was scoring a lot of goals and a lot of things. And then after he was traded away, he went back to being like that fourth line player that was way too expensive.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just not a good situation.
That's just basically the history of Glenn Cross, if you guys don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I could see him getting a spot somewhere. I'm amazed he hasn't been signed to a contract somewhere in the NHL, but, you know.
He's probably asking around like 2 million, maybe 3 million.
At this point, I think he's
signed for a hell of a lot less than that.
Yeah, he's going to sign for. I mean, Ehrhoff signed what, 1 point, was it 1.3?
1.5. 1.5. 1.5. Ehrhoff is still.
That's nuts. I wanted Ehrhoff for that much.
Yeah, like Ehrhoff, Greiba. What's the difference? Like 0.2 million.
Dang! Oh my god! Damn it! We could have had. I'm actually angry now.
Well, the other side of it though is if he's taking that much of a hometown discount, he either knows he's screwed up and waited way the hell too long, or he really wants to play where he signed. Like that's
who took a hometown discount. What do you mean?
Like as in hometown discount is when you take less of a contract so you can play in that city. So who did he sign with again? Buffalo? No,
L.A.
L.A. Sorry, that's what I meant. He wants to play. He wants to play on a good team.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
A good team that's cap stripping.
Well, Adam, on the flip side, if we didn't have Greiba's contract and we offered him 2.5 or like 3 for a year or 2 years, don't you think he wouldn't have taken it? Not
necessarily, because he knows there's a lot of players that until we talk about the McDavid effect.
He retires.
We talk about the McDavid effect and how it's obviously Sekera came here. He said that was one of the reasons why, and players want to play here. But the issue is, a lot of players are still going to wait for results. If you have a generational talent and then still shit the bed, you're not going to get players. And that's the thing is, LA had an off year, but still has. It's still cap stricken, but they're still a good team. Mm-hmm. They lost Voinov. Yeah. They would have been in need. They know they need him. So if since Voinov's playing for SK Petersburg, which came out today, then as long as Ehrhoff performs even mediocre or like up to par this year, he's gonna get a multi-year good deal. Like he's gonna get paid.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go on. Like I'm gonna forcibly shift the topic forward. Okay, we either have the captaincy or we can talk about what your final roster is going to look like.
Well, we can probably do the final rosters. The final roster we can do real quick. So let's just go into captaincy real quick.
Captaincy?
Yep.
Sure. Yeah.
James, you want to take it?
James, you start, yeah.
It sucks, but I would bite the bullet on Ference, I think, for 1 more year. He's signed for 2. I'm more okay with having the buyout there for 2 years as opposed to 4. It sucks. It really does. Like it's hard to put a positive spin on it. At this point, he's a 7th defenseman, and he's gonna play maybe 50 games this year, I would say. Otherwise, he's just gonna be in the stands. But play it out for this year, and then next year, I can see them maybe doing like no captain, but a whole bunch of associate captains, like Montreal did last year. But ultimately, if McDavid turns out to what he's supposed to be, I think I would give the C to McDavid after 2 years or so. But up until this point, I was all about Hall up until this point. But McDavid now. So
actually, extending off that, I just want to remind everyone that Crosby became captain at the age of 20?
20.
Yeah. He was the youngest captain ever in the Cup.
Pittsburgh Penguins, and you have to also recognize that, like, at his height in terms of that accomplishments in terms of captaincy, he was the captain of the last Olympic team. Along with that, the youngest ever captain was 19 years old, and he was Gabriel Landeskog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
so it can be done.
Oh yeah,
it can be done. Like people that are saying like, oh, you don't give it to someone that young, it can be done, and it has worked to success. Regardless, I'll give it over to Adam.
You never said what you were gonna do with Ference, but I would say.
I'll come back to you.
I'm kind of along the same lines as James. Like he's a great guy. We saw that with the Spider Mabel thing this week. It was absolutely adorable. He's a fantastic human being, but he knows. The thing is, he approached Chiarelli about giving up the C, is what's being reported now. Is that he might give it up sooner rather than later. I don't know whether that means this season or next season. If he's sitting a whole bunch, which seems like a distinct possibility, then he might give it up earlier. In which case, I'd say go with a bunch of assistant captains, maybe Nuge, Hall, Eberle, Fane, and I don't know, like you can, or even Sakara, go with a bunch of A's, and decide who is the best leader throughout the year, and then buy out Ferentz next year and assign a captain. Whether that's McDavid or not, it remains to be seen. Do you guys think it'll be an issue if McDavid gets it? Do you think Hall or Eberle or Nuge would feel a little shafted considering they put in more time here?
I think Hall is going to experience some hard feelings, but at the same time, like, I think just the fact that if they start winning more games, they're not going to care as much.
Yeah.
About getting a C or not getting a C.
I think that's the end game.
I think that kind of things where they get hurt feelings over the fact that they got the C or they didn't get the C will have more to do with like just feelings of that moment and not really like a lack of trust. That's something that the organization itself needs to take care of during the time like they give the C to McDavid, let's say in 2 years' time. I am going to go a little bit off the wall here, and I'm going to say Hendricks, captaincy. Give it to him for like 1 or 2 years because I can see him playing at least one more year. He's what, 33, 32?
He's 32.
32, yeah. So at the very least, like he can play one more year, and like that's probably the end of a successful career for him, in the sense of like staying up in the NHL as a fourth line winger. And then after that point, like the leadership in the locker room can be figured out, the leadership on the ice can be figured out, and that can be handled. My only concern with this captaincy thing is that the last time T-Mac had a problem with captaincy, it did not go well. And that was in a place without a lot of media coverage.
Part of it...
That was still the talk of the town.
Part of it, big rumors, was that it wasn't his doing. Or at least wasn't entirely his doing. So I'm going to give him credit on that. Like, it probably... T-Mac might have been part of the decision-making in that process, but just based on what the Sharks have done since T-Mac's been gone...
Yeah, they've done that again. Didn't they strip Thornton of the captaincy recently?
Wilson
No,
stripped
that's
Thornton.
what happened then.
That's the big hubbaloo. Is that Wilson stripped, or Wilson and McClellan stripped Thornton of captaincy, which they're gonna sign before the first game this year.
Mm-hmm. That's sort of the thing with rumors, because at the end of the day, officially speaking, it's Todd McClellan's decision.
Is it though?
In an official standing.
What, isn't it not the GM?
If he's made by the GM to do things a certain way, then he was made by the GM. But that's not what was actually said.
All right.
And I prefer like the actual over the rumors. Like rumors like Hall would make a horrible captain because he's a douchebag.
Yeah, but we never know the truth.
Yeah.
We make inferences.
That's sort of the point about the rumors, though, is that you don't know the truth.
One of us just needs to become Oilers reporters so we can dish all the dirt.
Yeah, I know.
I wish, dude.
Yeah.
My goal. Can I go putting it out there? Become a sports doctor, work with the Oilers, and then become like write the biggest tell-all book about how McDavid is like really crazy and whatnot, and like is secretly suffering from like
snorts coke on a
PTSD
bench between periods, or
the first season of playing with Erie Otters and playing like shit.
Starting a rumor here right now.
We're terrible people. I might go to the NATE program for the sports broadcasting, so we'll see.
Cool.
We'll see. All right, so we are pretty much at our time, but real quick, who is your guys' starting goaltenders and starting lineups for the first game of the year, which is in 6 days? 6 days.
Starting goaltenders?
That's hard.
Talbot and Scrivens.
Yes.
I'll go with them.
All right, agreed.
Okay.
Nielsen doesn't need to clear waivers. It's whether or not it's what the players deserve. I think it's what people expect. And if you don't rock the boat too much, like people aren't going to question the decision too much, and they can roll, I think, for at least a few games with that tandem. And that'll be fine. If Nielsen is doing really well in the American Hockey League and Scrivens or Talbot starts, and obviously we're going to start to hear some noise, but opening night, Talbot and Scrivens, I'm okay with that. And then Forwards, let's just work, I guess, first line down. So you have Hall, McDavid, and then it looks like Slepyshev is going to slot in there to start off. And then Pouliot, Nuge, and Purcell, which is fine. And then Draisaitl, Lander, Yakupov. That is what it is. I don't know how I feel about that line, but
What
that's
about the
fine.
fourth?
And then fourth line would be, I guess, Korbakovsky, Letestu, and Hendricks. Going back to what Arun said real quick, Hendricks as a captain choice is, I thought about that as well, decent choice. So I wouldn't be too pissed about that. Defense, I there's What do you do? What do you do? Okay, Sakara, Schultz, Fane, Clefbaum. That's your top four, and then the bottom pairing like Nikitin and Ference is the obvious names, but they're not even
Dear
NHL
God,
players.
no. I
I don't know
I'm
what you
gonna
do.
I'm
Like
gonna really quickly put in something here.
Reinhardt,
David Cholawa has commented that Scrivens likely won't be claimed off of waivers because of his contract.
Yeah, but the other side of it is if you have a player that can clear without worry, and you do
yeah,
want to keep both for the time being, you're going to send the player down who's not only not a proven backup, but also has the contract that doesn't need to go through waivers. It makes more sense
it's
that way from a
safer.
logistical
Yeah,
standpoint. Yeah, it's
Okay.
not
it's
it's not that Scrivens wouldn't be claimed. He probably wouldn't be, especially because of his contract. But it's just that if you can go with the safer option, they're probably going to do that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Adam. Oh no, I can go.
Yeah.
yep.
Did you get all eight D or
No,
eight D?
you go first, and I'll finish.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with a 13 forward, 8D, and two goaltenders. My forward is pretty much identical except I would have Yak on Nuge's line just to see how that works. And I would have that as a first line. And then Purcell would be with Lander and Draisaitl. The fourth line would be what we said earlier. I would. I don't know who to consider as a 13th forward. That's pretty much on a rotational basis based upon like who can perform at the time, who can't perform at the time. Personally speaking, I would try Pitlick, uh, or Elio Parkinen, or whatever you pronounce his name.
Pakarinen.
Pakarinen, yeah, I would try him out as a 14th, 13th forward. 8D, this one's hard. For first line, I would put Sakara. Oh, oh, Nikitin.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't
that
have a
doesn't
choice
sound
here.
right.
I don't have
Nikitin as
much
a
of a choice
1D.
here.
Oh God.
Clefbaum,
I'm still not even sold on
Schultz.
Sakara. Never mind Nikitin.
Clefbaum Schultz, and the only reason that Clefbaum Schultz is that way is because they'll be playing like in all honesty, like they'll be playing more time, except their 5-on-5 time perhaps might not like it'll vary based upon like their quality of play. And then my final one will be man, we do not have a good lineup here.
Forget about Fane.
Oh, Mark Fane. Oh, take Nikitin off. Put Fane in there. Okay, Sakara Fane top line. Bottom line will be Fane.
Fane's on the top line.
No, yeah, you're right.
He can't be on the bottom and top.
Screw it. Let's put Fane everywhere. Fives everywhere. No.
You want me to come back to you? Because I
It would
already
be
have mine.
rotational basis. Reinhardt. Ference.
Ference and Nikitin. Like, what else do you
Nikitin,
have?
and I don't want Greiva. I want to send Greiva down.
Davidson.
McDavidson, yeah. Not McDavidson, Davidson.
Davidson.
I go with James's.
McDavid everywhere, 97 all out.
I go
And
with
my goaltenders, sorry, are
Right.
Talbot and Nielsen.
Yeah, it's really. So you risk
And if
Scrivens.
push comes to shove, what another option is that we send Ference down, and
Can't.
like we can't at all.
That's the
Oh,
issue.
Yeah, no
Movement
contracts.
clause.
Damn it. We
No
sent
move.
Reinhardt down, and we keep three goaltenders.
I go 14 forwards, 70 and two goalies. So I go with the same lines as James. So that's Pouliot, Nuge, Purcell, Hall, McDavid, Slepyshev, then Lander, Draisaitl, Yakupov, and I go with Korpikoski, Letestu, and Hendricks. But I keep Gazdic, face puncher Gazdic, and
Why?
in the box, in the press box, because this is no. This is my reasoning is because I know McClellan likes his face punchers, so he's gonna want to keep Gazdic up for that reason.
I don't think McClellan had to do with the fact that Sharks got.
It's not Scott. Every year he was there, he had Brown at one year, he had Scott last year. Every year he always has at least one face puncher. So I don't see Gazdic getting a lot of playing time, but I see him in there. Gazdic and Klinkhammer. Or Klinkhammer might get sent down. So it's one of those two. They might roll. The other option is rolling with 8D, right? So you go with the top pairing. I see Schultz and Sekera, and then Clefbaum and Fane, and then Reinhardt and Nikitin. And then
80 or 70.
And then I go with 70. And then you send Sit Ferentz.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah.
7th is fair.
Okay. Hello? I can't hear you guys. Go means go. It's because he's shirtless, isn't he? God damn it. You didn't even know. I just saw the video right there. I don't have it here.
That'd be one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Alright, let's end it for this week.
What's your goaltenders?
Okay.
See you guys next time.